Don't fall victim to these new mistakes that everyone keeps making in Disney World, because if you do, things are going to get messy for your dream vacation real quick. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. All right, slight bumps in the road are going to happen during any Disney vacation, but the new mistakes we're starting to see pop up around the parks and resorts aren't just bumps in the road. They are sinkholes, and they're going to mess up your trip if you're not staying in the loop and figuring out how to navigate around them. Fortunately, we've made a lot of these mistakes, and we've seen a lot of people make these mistakes. So we're gathering them all into today's video so that your Disney World vacation can be as successful and smooth as possible. Before we get started, if you're in the early, mid, or even later planning stages of your Disney World trip and you're having a tough time trying to keep everything organized, go ahead and scan the QR code that you see on the screen right now to download our free DFB planning worksheets if you don't already have them. That'll help keep all your plans in one nice, neat, and super organized location. You can also pick up your downloadable worksheets today by heading over to disneyfoodblog.com/DisneyPlans. And by the way, I know I don't do this as often as I'd like to, but I just want to say again how grateful I am to all of you who tune into these videos daily and weekly. Our YouTube team here is so amazing and so dedicated, and it boggles my mind every single day. And it really bolsters us more than you know when we get your messages and your emails and your updates about how much our videos are helping you. We appreciate it so much. We are grateful every day for being able to do this work, and it's because of you that we are. So thank you again. All right, on to the video. First new mistake that people are making in Disney World is forgetting about all the new restaurants. Just when you think you've got the Disney restaurant scene all memorized, more new restaurants suddenly appear, and if you're not careful, you might miss out on the reservations for them. Just this past year, restaurants like Roundup Rodeo Barbecue in Hollywood Studios and Shiki Sai Sushi Izakaya in Epcot have opened their doors for guests, which reminds me I gotta book a couple of those for my upcoming trip, so let me make a note for myself right here. Okay, and still to come, we're expecting to see restaurants like the Cake Bake Shop at Boardwalk Inn, Summer House on the Lake at Disney Springs, and Eat by Manit Shawan also at Disney Springs. And they'll be opening by the end of 2023, at least they're supposed to be. We'll see what happens. The Cake Bake Shop just this past week announced they're pushing the opening to 2024, so we'll see what happens with these other new restaurants. But because all these restaurants are so nice and shiny and new, they're also going to be popular. So you're going to want to make sure you grab advanced dining reservations for them as soon as you can. ADRs can be made 60 days out from the first day of your stay, and while Disney notes that reservations typically open around 6 a.m. Eastern, they can open as early as 5:30 or 5:45 a.m. too. We've had that happen, so you might want to set that alarm on your phone right now while you're thinking about it. If you aren't able to snag an ADR for one of those brand new restaurants, don't lose hope yet. Instead, check on the walk-up wait lists that might be available on the day of your visit, which you can pull up through the My Disney Experience app and tapping on the dining tip board. Also, keep checking on those reservations leading up to your trip, because last-minute reservations can and do pop up, especially if other guests have to cancel their tables for one reason or another. Persistence is key, my friends, but you can do it. I believe in you, and I'll be here to hype you up the whole way through. All right, next mistake that is being made regularly: getting confused over Disney Genie Plus. Hello, this happens to all of us. So lightning lanes can be extremely useful for helping you get around the longest attraction lines in the parks. But if you just jump into your trip assuming Disney Genie Plus will be pretty self-explanatory and you'll figure it out once you get there, well, it can be a little harder than that, and you definitely don't want to waste a bunch of time on your vacation trying to figure out this app, right? We've got lots of videos going in depth with how Genie Plus and individual lightning lanes work, but let me give you the bullet point overview now so you have a springboard to work with. For starters, you can purchase Disney Genie Plus each day starting at midnight. But if you want to purchase individual lightning lanes for the most popular and/or newest experiences of the parks, then Disney World hotel guests can book those starting at 7 a.m. All other people who are staying off property won't be able to book individual lightning lanes until after the parks open. Disney Genie Plus is priced by park, but you can also purchase the multi-park option if you're planning on using a park hopper. And when you purchase Disney Genie Plus, you can make your first lightning lane selection at 7 a.m. Throughout the day, your biggest asset that'll help you hold on to more than one lightning lane at a time will be that 120-minute rule. This doesn't start until the parks open, but once they do open, you'll be able to book another lightning lane if you haven't used your previous one 2 hours after your other selection. So, for instance, if I book a Slinky Dog Dash reservation at 9 a.m. for a return time that isn't until 5:30 p.m., I'll still be able to make another lightning lane selection for, say, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway when 11 a.m. rolls around. I can also make another lightning lane selection immediately after I use the last lightning lane that I booked. I getcha. There's a lot of info here to digest at once. I know. This is why I highly recommend doing as much research as you can on this service before the start of your vacation, just so you can figure out whether it'll be absolutely essential for you to have it or not. And again, we got lots of videos on it. We got lots of blog posts explaining it. We got step-by-step instructions. So we've got it for you. Don't worry, we're gonna get through this. Okay, next mistake everybody's making in Disney World is being blindsided by Epcot's hot mess era. Now, I love Epcot. I love Epcot with every fiber of my being. It is my home park. It's the park I remember going to the most when I was a kid with my dad. That being said, it is a garbage fire right now. Construction walls are still everywhere as Communicore Hall and Plaza, aka the future hubs of the festivals, continue their construction. Harmonious is gone, but we're still seeing some weird piping and metal stuff popping up in the World Showcase Lagoon as they get ready for their next nighttime spectacular. Journey of Water, inspired by Moana, is getting ready to open up. The Canada Pavilion is experiencing major renovations right now. That place is scaffolding central. It's just not the Epcot we know and love at the moment, but that's okay. If we can't handle Epcot at its worst, then we don't deserve it at its best, right? That being said, if you don't go to the parks all that often, and this is your first introduction to Epcot, or maybe your last visit there for a while, all the construction going on can feel really off-putting. But that doesn't mean you're not going to have a super fun day here. Just brace yourself for the mess or consider postponing your vacation until later next year when all the walls should finally be down once and for all. While Epcot is projecting that these projects should be wrapped up later on in 2023, we'll be sure to keep you updated when we learn about those official kickoff dates when they're announced. I can't wait. I want my old Epcot back. All right, let's talk about the Disney World restaurant reviews that you read leading up to your last trip, because they are now officially outdated. And that's because Disney's restaurants change all the time. Menus change and pricing changes, even entertainment offerings at certain restaurants get updated or removed entirely depending on the circumstance. For example, a few years back, I would have never considered ABC Commissary over at Hollywood Studios as a top quick service contender. But since they updated their menu back in 2020 with options like shrimp tacos and buffalo chicken grilled cheese sandwich, Mediterranean salads, the DFB team has officially given this place their gold star seal of approval. Who would have thunk it? On the opposite side of things, though, Be Our Guest restaurant used to be a must-visit for us when we went to Magic Kingdom, and although we still love this restaurant for its amazing Beauty and the Beast-themed atmosphere, its switchover from being a solid quick service lunch to a mediocre prix-fixe sit-down meal along with major price increases has been wildly disappointing to see unfold before our eyes. That's why the team and I are constantly returning to these restaurants and updating our reviews based on our latest experiences, because our favorite restaurants might wind up disappointing us, or our least favorites might end up surprising us in the best way possible. And you know we're going to be 1,000% honest with you too. So be sure to pay attention to our most recent reviews on DFB so you'll know which restaurants are the MVPs of Disney World right now and which ones need to step up their game. All right, it's not just Epcot that's going through a messy stage right now. Many of the Disney World hotels are right there along with it. And if you only learn about these massive resort changes once you get to the hotels, you might find yourself wishing you would have spent your money on a different hotel entirely, right? So let's talk about some of the current and the future construction updates around our beloved Disney hotels that you're going to want to know about before you book them, right? Don't ignore the construction warnings because they're there for a reason. First of all, there are a few Disney World hotel pools that'll be closed at the beginning of next year. At Disney's Port Orleans Resort French Quarter, the Doubloon Lagoon pool, which is very, very cool if you haven't seen it, will receive some refurbs from January 2024 to April 2024, but you'll still be able to walk over and use the Old Man Island pool at Disney's Port Orleans Resort Riverside in the meantime. That said, that's not a short walk, y'all. If you're trying to figure out if you should stay at French Quarter or not and you have kids who love a pool, I would skip it for the first few months next year and stay someplace else that has a functional pool. Now, over at Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort, the Fuentes del Morro pool will be undergoing routine maintenance during the same time period, but the 5 leisure pools here will still remain open. That said, the Fuentes del Morro pool is the pool that is the best at Caribbean Beach, and the leisure pools are super boring. So just a heads up on that. Again, this is another one I would not choose to stay at while the pool is being worked on, at least if you have kids who love a pool. And the last pool that we know of so far that'll be getting updated between January and April next year will be the Fantasia pool at Disney's All-Star Movies Resort. So if you're staying here when it's closed, you can swim in the Duck Pond pool instead, which is not small like a duck pond. It's called the Duck Pond Pool because it's themed to the Mighty Ducks, which a lot of people don't even know what that movie is anymore. And now another pool closure that's coming up is not coming up in 2024, but I'm going to warn you about it anyway, and I'm going to keep warning you about it all year. In 2025, Stormalong Bay over at Yacht and Beach Club is going to be closed. That is obviously the best pool in Disney World. A lot of people stay at that hotel just to swim in that pool. So just a heads up, be sure you know, because that's an expensive resort to stay at if you're only staying there for the pool. All right, now when it comes to major construction projects, Disney's Polynesian Village Resort is currently building some new Disney Vacation Club villas with waterfront balcony views. Those are set to open later in 2024. Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground is also going to see some major construction soon, since the Disney Vacation Club has recently announced its plan to redesign more than 350 cabins there. These new cabins, well, they're not new, they'll just be renovated cabins. The current cabins that are already there will be open for reservations to all guests later in 2024 as well. All-Star Sports has been undergoing refurbishments that are still in progress, but should be completed sometime this year, which means all the new rooms should be open by 2024. Disney's Beach Club Resort is also updating guest rooms, but the hotel hopes to have the rest of the rooms at the resort upgraded by October 2023. Room changes are coming to the Grand Floridian, which will lead to new furniture and color schemes. And finally, over at Disney's Boardwalk Inn, hotel rooms are currently being updated with new furniture and decor as well. These new rooms will feature artwork that contains images of Mickey and Minnie and other Disney pals strolling through the boardwalk, that turn of the century feel. Now, Disney World Resort changes and renovations happen frequently all year round, so make sure you're keeping up with our updates each week on this channel, as well as checking out the Disney World website for the latest construction news as well. They'll have it marked in orange, whatever page you're looking at. If you're considering whether or not you want to add the Disney dining plan to your trip next year, then this latest announcement might become your major deciding factor. So the Disney Dining Plan is a prepaid service added to a Disney vacation package, which means you're paying for a Disney hotel stay and all your park tickets in one bundled purchase. If you choose to include the Disney Dining Plan, then all your meals throughout the rest of your trip will be paid for, meaning that all you'll have to do is just head to a Disney restaurant on the approved list, enjoy your meal, and scan your card. That's how it used to be, but the tables have turned a little bit. Now, ticketless packages with dining plans are available to book for stays at Disney World beginning January 9th, 2024 as well. Disney shared that this change will accommodate guests who have booked back-to-back reservations at different Disney resort hotels by allowing them to book a room and dining plan without having to add tickets to the package. This also will help if you're an annual pass holder, you already have your tickets. It'll help if you're traveling in a group of people who have different types of tickets. So this is interesting, and it's a good addition, I think. Now, these special packages will need to be booked over the phone directly with Disney Central. You can contact them at 407-939-4357. Now, something tells me that this won't be the last of the Disney Dining Plan changes we'll be hearing about before it returns to the Disney sphere of influence in January, so we'll keep you updated on any more sudden DDP news drops. In the meantime, if you want to learn even more about this returning prepaid service and whether or not it'll actually be worth the money you put into it, our brand new DFB Disney Dining Plan guide is available on dfbstore.com right now. Just make sure you type in code YouTube before you check out, because I don't want you missing out on these killer savings before you make that final purchase. We're pretty proud of this guide, by the way. We've been working on it for a really, really long time. We know that a lot of you, the Disney Dining Plan is new to you and you're not really sure if it makes sense to buy it or not, so this guide will be a really good blueprint for you to work from. All right, this next one is one that our reporters go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on, and we keep double checking and triple checking our info on it. So if you're planning on driving over to Magic Kingdom during your trip or taking a rideshare service other than the Disney minivans, then your journey over to the front gates of the park is going to be a little more complicated. Unlike Epcot and Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom, where you'll just be able to park and mosey on over to the front gates, those who park at the Magic Kingdom will actually be parking at the Transportation and Ticket Center. From there, you'll have to take either the monorail or the ferry the rest of the way over to the park. Sometimes there's even bus service available to throw an extra wrench into the situation. But which one do you choose? Which one's going to get you there the fastest? Honestly, it depends. Sometimes the ferry can be a better alternative, especially around 9:30 or 9:45 a.m. shortly after the park opens and when everyone seems to be flooding into Magic Kingdom. But more often than not, the DFB reporters fall into Team Monorail, and here's why. When you park at the Transportation and Ticket Center and you start making your way to the monorail entrance, you'll see two pathways, a left one and a right one. How's that for ease? The pathways are both going to the exact same place, but many guests don't realize that, so they stick with the left-hand side to be safe. So here's the main difference between the two express monorail lines. Now, just to clarify, we're not talking about the two lines for the two different monorails that you'll find at the TTC, the resort monorail that's going to take you over to the Polynesian first versus the express one that takes you right on over to Magic Kingdom. We're strictly talking about the express one and its two lines that you can potentially choose from. So here's the main difference between the two express monorail lines. As explained by my buddies over at All Ears, the left-hand side loads the front of the monorail, the right-hand side loads the back half. For a shorter wait, choose the back half, then go all the way down to row 12, aka the very, very last car on the monorail. Even though this is the back car of the monorail, for now, when you arrive at the monorail station for Magic Kingdom, it'll turn into the front row. Once you hop off, take the stairs down out of the station, not the ramp, and voila, you'll be one of the first guests out and through the turnstiles leading up to the park entrance. So usually you can rattle off the days when you know Disney World will be busy, right? New Year's Eve, spring break, the whole last half of December, summer. But be aware that these major holidays and vacation times aren't the only times Disney World's going to see their demand spike. Special events or 3 to 4 day weekends, they also tend to have some very high crowd levels. These include times like Labor Day weekend, Columbus and Indigenous Peoples Day, the Run Disney Marathon weekends, Veterans Day weekend, even St. Patrick's Day can see some pretty intense crowds over in Disney Springs, since Raglan Road will have their specialty St. Patrick's Day hoolie going on, which is awesome. You should go check it out. If you're planning on booking a vacation around an extended weekend, just note that you're probably not the only ones out there with this idea. Not saying you can't still have a super fun time in the parks during extended weekends or specialty event seasons, but it may be worth looking into a Genie Plus investment to help you navigate around those rather intense crowd levels. Also, make sure to book reservations for hotels, restaurants, and flights as soon as possible, since pricing will more than likely increase the closer you get to these prime travel times. The My Disney Experience app is kind of like the Jiminy Cricket of your trip. Not so much in the sense that it'll be your conscience, but more so it'll be your guide. The My Disney Experience app can help you keep track of so many pieces and parts of your Disney World vacation, including dining reservations, digital room keys, Disney Genie, mobile orders, ride wait times, photo pass. It even has a car locator feature in case you misplace your car in the parking lot. It can tell you where all the bathrooms are. There's a lot going on here. And since there's so much going on, it can all be rather overwhelming if you only get around to downloading it once you've already started your vacation. So it costs nothing for you to download the My Disney Experience app and get it all set up and figured out before your trip and get your account connected, etc. And I'd go so far as to say you should make this one of your key priorities leading up to your vacation, right up there with booking your hotel and your dining reservations. Because once you've got an account on My Disney Experience, you'll be able to link your trip all into one easy to access location. And you should be able to easily navigate it too once you mess around with it a little bit, but definitely give yourself that time to mess around with it so you're not trying to figure it out while you're sitting on the monorail with everybody else about to go into Magic Kingdom. So Disney World planning has a lot more layers than it used to. We all know this, right? Sometimes these layers can really complicate your group's plans, especially if you all have different ideas on how the trip should go. Let's backtrack to Genie Plus as an example. Genie Plus has created quite the stir among guests ever since it launched back in 2021. So you might come to find that half your group is 100% for purchasing Genie Plus, but the other half of your group is less than thrilled and would rather not spend the extra money for the line bypassing service. Is it possible to only purchase Genie Plus for half your group? Well, yeah, it is. If your group is okay with only half of its members getting Genie Plus, then you can totally purchase it for just those folks. Other members of your group can always decide to add it to their passes later on in the day if they change their mind, though I wouldn't wait too long because those lightning lanes are going to get snatched up. So, hypothetical scenario here, let's say you and your immediate family want to purchase Genie Plus for yourselves, but your trip info is all linked to your Aunt Betty and her family's My Disney Experience account. And they don't really like to ride the rides, so she'd rather not spend the extra money to get those lightning lanes. So what do? Well, if Aunt Betty's card information is what's linked to your group's account, you got a couple of different options. One, you can always pay her in advance with cash or Cash App, easy enough. Or two, you can link your card info to her My Disney Experience as well. You're more than welcome to link multiple credit cards to a single account, but only one can be active at a time. To make sure you're using your credit card and not your aunt's, go into the My Disney Experience app, tap on My Profile, and select Payment Method to change the card that you want to use. When you do purchase Genie Plus for your fam, make sure you have access to the My Disney Experience for your group's account on your phone too. That way, Betty doesn't have to select all your lightning lanes for you. Nobody wants that. Depending on how different your trip ends up being from your extended families, it may just be way easier to have two separate accounts anyways and avoid the extra headache of sharing all together. Talk it over with your group, figure out these types of details ahead of time so you don't get to the parks and find out your hopes and dreams for this trip actually clash with everybody else, which would cause tension and hurt feelings in the end, and we all know how Betty gets. All right, picture this. I know you probably don't want to, but we're gonna do it together. It's the end of your day in Hollywood Studios. You just watched Fantasmic and sealed the night on a rather high note, but you're currently watching all of these folks who've also just wrapped up their night in the park flooding into your resort's bus stop. And you do not want to have to wait an extra 45 minutes to actually get back to your hotel room because that bathtub is calling your name. Ride shares like Uber and Lyft and the minivan services can feel worth the price when it means a quick escape from the parks at the end of the night. But be warned, they're not as easy to make reservations for as you might think. At the end of the park day, lots of rideshare services get overwhelmed with requests, and you might find that you're having more issues locking one in than you thought. To avoid dealing with that last-minute rideshare panic, try pre-scheduling your rideshares to come pick you up just before or just after park closing time. The only rideshare service you can't pre-schedule is a minivan, which you can book through the Lyft app. For them, it's first come, first served since they'll pick you up right at the front gate. But when it comes to other rideshare services that are not owned by Disney, you can pre-schedule them to have your ride locked in ahead of time instead of scrambling to find one at the last second. Just make sure you know where the rideshare pickup location is so you're not wandering around aimlessly trying to find it. The Epcot rideshare is currently located in the Eve parking lot. It has moved. The Animal Kingdom one is at the front of the park to the right side of the parking lot. Hollywood Studios one is at the last row of the bus station. And the Magic Kingdom one is over at the Transportation and Ticket Center for Lyft and Uber, so you will need to take a monorail or ferry to reach it. Again, if you're taking a minivan, that will pick you up right at the front gates of Magic Kingdom in the bus stop area. All right, so I am officially giving you permission to buy a whole new wardrobe for your upcoming Disney World trip. You're welcome. But not just any wardrobe. You're going to want something unique and wow-worthy and jaw-dropping. Insert all the amazing adjectives, which is why you're going to want to check out all the different threads we've just put up on the DFBstore.com website. How about that? Isn't that amazing? We got shirts that represent your favorite festivals, tank tops that shout out the best areas of the park, V-necks that sport the all-too-classic treats, sweatshirts that'll keep you warm for the holidays. And that's only a glimpse into all the different designs and colors and styles you can choose from. So feel free to hit up dfbstore.com after this, browse our wares. I'm pretty confident you're going to find something that you're going to love, or at least something you can buy Betty for Christmas. Over and over and over again, I've spoken about the dangerous pit that many park guests fall into when they choose to start their day at Starbucks rather than get in line immediately for a ride, because Starbucks lines get so long in the morning and you can't even mobile order from these locations in the parks. Now, while other coffee stands tend to see much shorter lines than Starbucks, they're not always completely line-free either. In fact, some coffee lines can get rather long, especially around 10 a.m. to early lunchtime. And that's because the latecomers snag coffee when they first arrive, and the rope droppers wait to get it until they've accomplished a few must-dos. Want to save time but still get caffeine? You can mobile order coffee from a number of quick service spots around the parks. This includes Kringla Bakery Cafe in Epcot, Sunshine Tree Terrace in Magic Kingdom, ABC Commissary in Hollywood Studios, Kusafiri Coffee Shop and Bakery in Animal Kingdom, and a few other spots too. To learn all about the different hidden coffee locations around property, go to your My Disney Experience app, tap on the magnifying glass at the bottom of the screen, and type coffee into the search engine. This will pull up every Disney World restaurant and kiosk that has coffee listed as an option on their menu. So this isn't necessarily a new mistake, but as Disney World prices continue to fluctuate, the way we have to budget out our vacations each year becomes drastically different. We've got a few different budgeting videos out now that'll help you figure out all the different ways to save hundreds on your next Disney World vacation. But for now, let's talk about a couple of the key budgeting tricks you'll want to keep in mind as you start to plan your trip. First, buy those discounted gift cards. You can find lots of Disney gift cards discounted at stores near you like Sam's Club, Target, and BJ's. What we like to do with these discounted cards is treat them like a vacation savings account. You put a little bit back each month on those cards, and by the time your vacation rolls around, you'll have a good amount of spending money to put towards your dining and souvenirs and other expenses that might pop up while you're there. Second, book as early in advance as possible to maximize those savings. Last-minute trips can't always be avoided, but when you can, try to book your trips as soon as you know your travel dates. If a new discount or promotion is released during your travel dates after you've booked, you can always call Disney directly and have those promotions applied to your existing reservation. Or better yet, use a travel agent. We always use our friends at Small World Vacations to monitor and apply all the new discounts coming out. That way you don't have to sit on hold with Disney for a million billion hours. Your Small World Vacations agent gets to do that. I'll link Small World Vacations info down below in case you want to reach out for a free quote after this. So turn up the radio, roll down the windows, because you are now ready for one super smooth ride through the best Disney World vacation to date. Remember, if you're wanting some extra help keeping all the different details of your Disney World trip organized, head over to disneyfoodblog.com/disneyplans and we can send you our free Disney World planning worksheets right to your inbox. That way you can start filling them out right away. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.